Hence, all three methods have to be used to succeed at reforming a fault. The Book of Change stated, "Families who perform kind deeds will accumulate fortune which can outlast many generations." Therefore, in order to change a bad life into a good life, we not only have to reform our faults, but also have to practice all forms of kindness and build upon our virtue. Only in this way can we rid ourselves of the karma created in the past. Once our kind practices accumulate, our bad life will naturally turn into a good life. Thus, the practice of changing destiny can be proven. So says a proverb, a sense of pity is present in everybody's heart. Zicheng Yang from Zhejiang province is another example. Zicheng worked as a member of the clerical staff of the county courthouse. He was a kind, humane and law-abiding man. Once, the county magistrate punished a criminal by beating him until he fell, and his blood spilled out onto the ground.
Beat him!
I've been wrong, Your Honor. I've been wrong.
Beat him again!
Please, I've been wrong,
Beat him!
Your Honor. I didn't
Beat
do
him!
it.
Beat!
I've been wrong, Your Honor.
You cunning fellow! Very daring! Beat him!
I've been wrong, Your Honor. I didn't do it.
Beat him again! Beat him again! Beat! Beat him! Beat!
Your Honor, please remain calm. Please stop beating him.
It's all right for you to bleed. But how can I not be angry when this person has broken the law?
Your Honor, when even those in government positions of prestige and power are corrupted and do not follow the righteous path, how can one expect the common people to abide by the laws? Thus, in a case like this, we should be more understanding.
Although Zicheng came from a very poor family, he never took any bribes. If the prisoners were short of food, he would always take food from his own home, even if it meant going hungry himself. This practice of compassion never ceased, and eventually Zicheng had two sons who both became very prominent and held important government positions. Even the descendants of the Yang family remained prominent for a long time as well. So says a proverb, loving all living things is a virtue of heaven. Here is another true story that happened during the Ming Dynasty. Once, an organization of bandits appeared in Fujian province. The emperor appointed General Xie to lead the imperial army to pacify them. General Xie wanted to make sure that the innocent people were not accidentally killed in the hunt for bandits. So, he managed to obtain a list of those who belonged to the organization and commanded that a white flag be given secretly to those who did not belong to the bandits. They were told to place the flag on their door when the imperial army came to town, and the soldiers were ordered not to harm the innocent. With this one thought of kindness, General Xie saved nearly 10,000 people from being killed. Later, his son placed first on the imperial exams, and he later became the Prime Minister. His grandson also placed highly on the exams. His whole family thus attained high positions and great wealth. Another legend happened to the Lin family from Putian County in Fujian province.
Take this one outside. Hi. Don't worry, everybody. Everybody, you will get a share. Don't worry. Everybody will get a share. Don't scramble.
Yes, this one for
here.
you.
This one for you.
Over
yeah,
here.
take
some.
carefully.
Yes, this
Don't
one for
drop
you.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. Hold properly.
Don't drop it.
Don't drop it.
Take some for
Yeah.
yourself. Come again
Yes.
next time.
All right.
Take over. Yes. Take some.
Okay.
Yes.
Take
Goodbye.
carefully. Yeah, this one for you.
This is for you.
Yeah. And this one for you. Take another one. Come.
Among their ancestors was an old lady who was very generous. Every day, rain or shine, she would make steamed buns to be given to the poor. There was a Taoist priest who came every day for 3 years, and each time would ask for 6 or 7 steamed buns. The old lady always granted his request, and she never expressed any displeasure.
Don't scramble. All of you will have your share. Come.
Madam Lin?
You are...
I have eaten your steamed buns for 3 years. Perhaps I can show my gratitude this way. On the land behind your house, there is a good place to build the ancestral grave. And if you're placed there in the future, the number of your descendants who will have imperial appointments will equal the number of seats in a litter of sesame seeds.
Really? Oh, thank you for your kind guidance.
Don't mention. Since you're sincere in helping people, you should receive good retribution.
That's a blessing.
When the old lady passed away, the Lin family followed the Taoist's suggestion and buried her at the designated place. The first generation after that, 9 men received imperial appointments. From here we can see that one's charitable deeds and accumulated merits will really benefit one's descendants. A proverb says, "One who is pure-hearted will be respected by both gods and ghosts." There was an imperial secretary from Taizhou by the name of Ta Zhu-ying. When he was young, he used to study in remote mountain areas, and he had the following encounter.
Here's your opportunity. There's a village woman whose husband left home a long time ago and has not returned. Her in-laws think that their son is dead and are forcing her to remarry. But she's defying their order because she wants to preserve her chastity.
That's right. Tomorrow night she's going to commit suicide by hanging herself here and will replace me so that I can be reborn again.
Congratulations! Tonight let me celebrate with you first.
No. I must try to save the woman.
In order to save the woman, Mr. Ying immediately set out to sell his parcel of land on the following day. He obtained 4 liangs of silver and made up a letter from the daughter-in-law's husband and sent it to her home along with the silver. The parents-in-law, they noticed that the letter was not in their son's handwriting. But upon examining the silver, they found that the silver was indeed genuine. And as such, they did not insist on forcing their daughter-in-law to remarry. Therefore, the daughter-in-law did not commit suicide, and her husband returned home eventually, and it was a happy union.
Well done. Mr. Ying not only saved the woman, but also her marriage. It's really a good deal.
Later, Mr. Ying heard the ghosts speaking to each other again.
Originally, I was able to leave this place for rebirth, but my chance got messed up by Mr. Ying.
Why don't you inflict some harm on him?
No, I can't. His goodness and virtue has been recognized by the Supreme God, and he's going to receive a prominent position in the future. How can I harm him?
After hearing this, Mr. Ying became even more diligent in practicing kindness and accumulating merit. Whenever there was a famine, he would use his own money to buy food for the poor and the needy. And he was always eager to help those in emergencies. When things did not go his way, he always reflected within himself rather than complain of the outside world. Even today, his descendants are still very prominent. Another example is Kung Si Tu, who lived in Jiaxing County, Zhejiang Province. Another example of attaining good outcomes from practicing kindness is someone who is a distant family of our Yuan clan.
Is it so? Who is he then?
He is Ping Bao, who lived in Jiaxing. Ping was the youngest of the 7 sons of the magistrate of Qizhou, Anhui Province. He was sought into marriage by the Yuan family at Pinghu County. Ping Bao was very knowledgeable and talented, but he was never able to pass the exams. Once, while traveling on one of his many journeys to Lake Liu, he was caught in very heavy rain.
Here you are, Master.
Amitabha, Mr. Bao.
Abbot, I don't have the heart to allow the statue of Guanyin Bodhisattva to be defaced by the rain and dust. Could you use these 10 liangs of silver to have the temple repaired?
Oh, I'm sorry. Repairing the temple involves a big project and your silver is insufficient for this purpose, so I'm afraid that it is very difficult to fulfill your wish.
Master, don't give any more. This is a whole family belongings.
As long as the statue of Guanyin Bodhisattva remains undamaged, I don't care if I have to go without clothes. Abbot, please take my humble offering.
Amitabha, to give up money and clothing isn't a difficult deed to accomplish. But your deep sincerity is truly rare and precious to encounter. Amitabha.
Please don't mention it. I have to make a move now. Thank you.
After the temple was repaired, Ping Bao led his father over to visit and spend the night there as well. That night, Ping dreamed of the Dharma protector of the temple who had come to thank him, saying to him that since he had accumulated these merits and virtues, his children and descendants would enjoy having imperial appointments for generations. Later on, his son and grandson both passed high examinations and were appointed as senior imperial officers. Tianqi, there is real goodness and false goodness, honest goodness and crooked goodness, hidden goodness and visible goodness, seeming goodness and unseeming goodness, improper goodness and proper goodness, half goodness and full goodness, big goodness and small goodness, and finally, difficult goodness and easy goodness. These different types of goodness each have their own reason, which should be carefully learned and understood. If we practice kind deeds, but do not learn the way to differentiate between right and wrong, we may end up doing harm instead of good. Now, I will explain the different types of goodness one by one. Once upon a time in the Yuan dynasty, a group of scholars went to pay homage to eminent monk master Zhongfeng, who was advisor to the emperor on Tianmu mountain.
Master, Buddhist teachings often speak of the retributions for good and evil. They say it's like the shadow following the body wherever it goes. This is saying that doing good will always have its rewards, and doing evil will always have its punishments. Then why is it that there are people who practice kind deeds, but their families and descendants are not prosperous and successful? On the other hand, there are evil and wicked people who do bad things, but their families and descendants do quite well. Is there no fairness in Buddha's teachings?
Ordinary people are blinded by worldly views. They have not cleansed their minds of impurities and cannot see with true perception. Therefore, they look upon true goodness as evil and mistaken true evil as goodness. This is very common nowadays. Furthermore, these people do not blame themselves for bad perception on their part, but instead blame the heavens for their misfortunes.
Master, goodness is goodness, and evil is evil. How can they be mistaken for each other?
Could each of you express your opinions on what is good and what is evil?
Master, to yell at and beat others is evil. To respect and treat others well is good.
Well, not necessarily.
Being greedy for wealth and taking another's money is evil. Not being greedy and abiding by proper way is good.
Not necessarily.
So, what is really considered good and what is really considered evil?
To do things with the intention of bringing benefit to others is good. To do things for the sake of oneself is evil. If what you do is for the sake of benefiting another, then it does not matter if you yell at him or beat him. That is still considered good. If your intention is for self-benefit, then, regardless of your appearance of respect and courtesy, it is still considered evil. Therefore, when one practices kind deeds with the sole intention of benefiting others, this is considered as benefiting the public. And if it's public, then it is real goodness. If you only think for yourself when doing kind acts, then what is considered private benefit, and that is false goodness. When kindness springs from within the heart, it is real goodness. When one does good just for the sake of doing a good deed, then it is false. Also, when one does good without expecting anything in return, it is considered real goodness. When one practices kind deeds for some other purpose than to benefit others, it is false. These differences should all be scrutinized by those who wish to practice true kindness.
What is honest goodness and crooked goodness?
People nowadays often look upon a conservative and nice person as a good and kind person. However, the ancient sages and saints have shown that they prefer those who are courageous and hold high goals for themselves. Those who appear to be conservative and careful in their everyday actions may be liked by all people, but because of their weak personality, they easily go along with everything, and they are unable to think for themselves. From this, we can see that the viewpoint of common folk greatly differs from that of the sages, whose view is similar to that of the heaven, earth, gods, and spirits. Therefore, those who wish to accumulate merit should practice with a true and humble heart, not for the purpose of pleasing others. Honest goodness comes from the thought to help all others, and crooked goodness arises from the thought of greed in wishing only to please people. Therefore, if you wish to help all people, that is honest goodness. But if it is because of greed you please people, it is crooked goodness.
Father, what is hidden goodness and visible goodness?
When one does something good and people know about it, it is called visible goodness. When one does something good and no one knows about it, it is called hidden virtue. Those with hidden virtues will naturally be known by the heavens and will be rewarded. Those who practice visible goodness are known by people and they enjoy fame. Fame itself is a fortune, but fame is not favored by heaven and earth. For heaven and earth do not like those who seek fame. We can see that those who have great fame but lack the virtues supporting it, they will eventually encounter some kind of unthinkable adversity. A person who truly has not done any wrong but continues to be falsely accused by others will have descendants who will suddenly become very prosperous and very, very successful.
But then, why is there a saying that what seems to be goodness but is actually not?
In the spring-autumn period, there was a country named Lu. Because there were other countries which took their citizens as slaves, the country of Lu made a law which rewarded those who paid the ransom to regain the freedom of their fellow citizens. At that time, Confucius had a student named Zigong who did not accept the reward, although he paid for the ransom to free his people. But when Confucius heard this, he scolded Zigong, saying, "You have acted wrongly in this matter. When saints and sages undertake anything, they strive to improve the social behavior, teaching people to be good and decent. One should not do something just because one feels like it in order to gain vanity fame." On hearing this, Zigong became puzzled and looked at Confucius with a frown. Confucius then explained to him, saying, "In the country of Lu, the poor outnumber the wealthy. By refusing the reward, you lead others to think that accepting the reward money is being greedy. Thus, all the poor people who do not wish to appear greedy will hesitate to pay ransom in the future. Only very rich people will have a chance to practice this deed. If this happens, no one will pay ransom to free our people again." Another student of Confucius, Zilu, once saw a man drowning in the river, and he went forth to rescue him. Later, the man thanked him by giving him a cow as a token of gratitude. Zilu accepted his gift. Confucius was happy when he heard this and said, "In the future, people will be willing and eager to help those who are drowning in deep waters or river." If we look at these two examples from the view of common people, Zigong, who did not accept the reward money, was good, and Zilu, who accepted the cow, was not as good. Who would have known that Confucius praised Zilu instead and scolded Zigong? From this we can see that those who practiced kind deeds must not only look at the present outcome, but should also consider effects of the act in the long run. One should not only consider one's own gain and losses, but should look to see the impact made on the public. What we do right now may be good, but with passing years it may inflict harm upon others. Therefore, what seems like goodness may in fact be the opposite, and what appears to be the opposite of goodness may someday turn out to be goodness done after all.
Father, what is improper goodness and proper goodness?
In the Ming Dynasty, there was once a prime minister named Wen Yi Liu, who, when growing old, retired to his hometown, where he was loved and respected by all. Once, a drunken villager proceeded to insult him. Mr. Liu thought that since he was drunk, he would not want to bother about the latter. A year later, the same man committed a grave crime and was sent to jail with the death sentence. Upon hearing this, Mr. Liu said with great remorse, "If I had taken him to the authorities for punishment that day when he came to insult me, perhaps this would not have happened. A little discipline then could have prevented the great harm done now and might have saved him from certain death." This is an example of doing something bad while having good intentions. There is also an example of those who did good when they in fact intended otherwise. Once a famine ravished the land, and people stole food from others in broad daylight. A rich family reported their stolen losses from the marketplace to the authorities,